My name is Father John Manno, or Pastor Manno, I guess whatever, and I'm a Roman Catholic priest. Williamsport's Billtown is my hometown. I was born here in 1961. No, I'm fib, 41, all right? And I went through the public school system and all the way through the 12th grade. And then went to Westchester, now University, all right? So there's public school all the way. All the kids in the neighborhood were Catholic. Who becomes the priest, okay? So, and I was in Williamsport in the 70s for 4 years at what was then the Church of the Annunciation, right in Center City. Of course, that's changed so much, that area. And I came back here 20 years ago as pastor of Annunciation until they did the consolidations. And then I was transferred. I was supposed to go up to Carbondale, but then Lady Lourdes opened up, and so I was able to stay here and get to know a whole new community, all right, which is good. We always laugh about people in Montoursville and people in Williamsport think that Loyalsock Creek is the Atlantic Ocean, all right, you need a visa to get across the Green Bridge. So I always tease them. They have no idea where anything is in Williamsport. People in Williamsport have no idea where it is in Montoursville. So I say now, and it shows what community is all about. Anybody asks me, I'm now hyphenated. I say Greater Williamsport, Montoursville area, and which is neat. And of course, we can't forget Muncie and Hughesville, but that's been my residency, and it's a nice experience. Well, of course, it's my hometown. I was thinking about this morning when I was in the shower. So I'm still wet probably. But there was a movie out called A River Runs Through It, and Williamsport was just designated as River Town, River City. And that story's all about relationship. And I think I like Williamsport because it's my initial relationship with people, family, people, community, and then to come back and seen the community aspect of it, it's really great. I've been very happy wherever I've been. I took a leave of absence, was in New York City, living in Manhattan for 2 years. And I was on the Brooklyn waterfront doing a special program. It's a little exciting, and but that was community too. I mean, everything's a city, but this is my city. I love Williamsport, and I guess that's, I think people are friendly here. We have diversity, although sometimes we don't have the unity and diversity that we'd like to have, but I think it's very much possible. Well, the neighborhood I'm moving into now is about the same like Montoursville. It's closer into Williamsport. It's in the City of Divine Providence Hospital. But yet there's different economics there when you in that community too. The community I guess I still feel very bonded to is the Walnut Street, Camel Street, Center City area, West Edmund Street. And so it's been a different experience of community. When I was a kid, I was arrested. We had our little gang, like our gang comedy, and we were down here at the corner of Walnut and Third. We thought we heard a band. So we shimmied up a pole. The pole had a big floodlight on it and had brackets, must have been rusted. And it went, and I can still imprint in my mind, it was a Dodge car, brown, and I can still see it. The car, it went the whole pole went right across the whole street, Walnut Street, just missed the car. So, of course, we went like a bat out of heaven. And one of my buddies hid in the washing machine of my mom. And Officer Brown, he may have been the first African-American policeman here. And so he came down, he just shook hands with all of us, and because we were like 7 years old. But Father Cummings is also from Williamsport, and he'd have a fit when I'd see people from wherever he was. I said, "Ask Father about the time we were arrested." He said, "Why would you tell people that?" I said, "Well, tell them we were only 7 years old." I think great memories of Williamsport were always the downtown section. I worked at a record shop, Melody Record Shop, which was the envious place because I was the high school boy and all the girls came in there, and everything. I think just good memories of Bowman Field, going to the Capitol Theater. let's see, lots of stories probably from Williamsport High School, and they'd be the main ones. I'm just trying to think of anything else that would be anecdotal. Working at Annunciation was something because we had a regular Catholic parish connections, but we also had the connections there in Center City, and it was funny, the people that came in and the people you saw on those two levels, and I'll probably think of other funny or things to say or whatever, but I think maybe that's the ones that just came to mind right now. It's a friendly community. The one thing that should never be lost is I have never seen agencies as wonderful as here, like right next door, Chris and Shay, West Branch Drug and Alcohol. You look at someone like Kevin Choate, like coming county jail. His educational director has just been responsible for so many young women either getting their GED or their diploma. I would never like to see change. You take the program or YWCA, Wise Options, and Journey House, and the people that have really made a commitment to our city, like Vanessa Hunter, who's does so much with interrelational and intercultural things, and I wouldn't like to see a change. And just today, Mr. Troyce's there. Every mayor that since I've been back, their office was always open, and I wouldn't like to see that change at all. The Williamsport I knew growing up, what did change, unfortunately, was our great relationship with different ethnic groups. All right, the Italian people first came, and there was a difference then, right in this neighborhood, and then our African American neighborhood. I lived on 3rd Street, and 2 blocks over was African American, and we were all went to school together. It was all integrated. We're still very close friends. We never went to each other's homes, though. And it's funny. We look back on it. You never went into each other's homes. Between being I always like it when they say colored people is so stupid because we're all colored, or you'd see through us, and but we didn't. And but now I think that's so much better. We so got so many things going for us now, especially restaurants. This is Restaurant City. I would like to, of course, Little League Baseball and all of our Williamsport's always been a sports city, and culturally now with the CAC and so many things, the Ways Garden Art projects and things like that. I think what I wouldn't want to see is this continuing evolution of not only a great city, but also a great community and a gifted community. I think those are the things I would not like to see change. Maybe it's because of the collar, I don't know, but just the openness here of City Hall. The police were tremendous. I was very naive. I'd walk the neighborhood every night. Now everybody thinks I'm this great whatever, but why are you walking that neighborhood so late at night? And great ecumenical spirit. The people at Door Fellowship were praying for me. Everybody was praying for me, no matter what their liturgical religion or not. And it was good, but I'd be going out and I say, how could anybody ever complain about the police here in Williamsport? Which I never did anyway, but I said, they're always going by when I'm out walking. I was walking my dog. I wouldn't have been out there if it hadn't been for, I don't want to say dog poops, I won't say it, okay? But anyway, I had to walk here, and someone says 10:30 at night. But I met an awful lot of people, and that was just a great experience of that kind of neighborhood thing, and where you got to interact so much. And it was very, 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 very revealing, and it was good. So those are the things that I found were just, possible. I had one little confrontation, but never any. And anything, physical or threatening or anything like that. So, but the funny thing was, I kept saying about the police department, I got a little sidetracked there. And what I didn't realize, I'd go out in the street, and they were calling, say, crazy Father Manno was walking the street again. And so they were watching my back, you know. I thought, oh, gee, they're so great, they're watching me. But I didn't have any fear. You know, it may have changed a little bit now because of the heroin epidemic being such a, you know, such a big operation in business-wise. And but even with that, we look at the people who've stepped forth and all the things we're doing now with Project Bald Eagle and things like that. It's great. And the ecumenism, Gwen Bernstein and United Churches of Lycoming County, is the best ecumenical setup I've ever seen in, you know, being in different parishes and areas of our diocese. Wouldn't change Lycoming College, our two bookends here of education, all right? That's for sure. And very cooperative with everything, and very community-minded. A lot of community experience, you know, in a relationship. I'm also very concerned that our kids today get positive aspects of sexuality, educational things that the culture isn't giving them. And I've taught our 12th graders I love teaching. I was in full-time schoolwork for a while. So I've always had senior theology, and the kids were coming voluntarily. You know, high school religion in any congregation is a tough sell. And but I'm bragging about the content, but I'm also bragging about the kids, because they came every single Sunday. And I was counting up, before I left, I was counting up the rolls, and I had 119 kids in 6 years at, you know, come to senior theology. And one of our big units is personhood, development of personhood, relationship, and marriage. And that's one of the things that I'd like to see emphasized more. And even with the idea of the drug problem, more experiential thing. United Church of Christ is the Lutheran pastor, Pastor Elizabeth, and we started out with a curriculum for Sunday school, and so proactive for drugs. Gwen Bernstein and I are finishing it up now. Williamsport High School is going to do a cover for it. I know, our wonderful newspaper. No one can complain about the Sun Gazette. You know, I mean, they're just, they've always been. I have a scrapbook at Annunciation of all the things they covered. Like, we got garbage cans put around and things like that. But just the idea now of trying to, you know, get healthy concepts out. I think that needs to be done. As far as the drugs, I think that we got to do is, you know, we have to give them experience like this program. We'll have imagery of Scripture and it's Old Testament and New Testament, or any faith we can get in, but then imagery and relaxation technique to experience things. I think those are the things I like to see changed. And of course, there's only so much you can do with spirituality and on a you know, a public school level, but I think a lot of it comes through. That's the other thing. I think our public school system, working with the principals in Center City, Dave Michaels and Brendan Pardo, who's now up at high school, Kurt Felix, you know, going into homes and things like that were really great. And I think that's things I like to see is how we approach like drugs from, let's look at it from the experiential knowledge. You know, of course, that's be hard hitting fact, because as we know with the heroin addictions, once you do it, you're chronic. And but just in general, how to stimulate more things to stimulate people's motivation and their creativity. So those are things I like to see if they could be made more available. I think sometimes, even ecumenically, sometimes you get together and until everybody starts talking with each other, there's always kind of two elephants in the room, and that'd be maybe a little bit of competition and a little bit of mistrust. But and if that keeps changing and we just keep working together, those are things. But I think when I think what things I like to change, I think is emphasis of things like that. I like to see change to people not seeing other people. I mean, I'll be in a grocery store, and people don't say good morning to each other. And I'll see, I used to talk about the people coming out of church. In football, you had the Z in for the end of the pass, or you had the Z out. And there'd be somebody from another ethnic group or a racial group coming down, and our people would boom, boom, Z out. I'd say, hey, say hello. And, you'll get a smile, all right? And they'll say hello back. But people are afraid to do that. I think our minorities don't expect it from the majority, and our majority is hesitant about doing it. And that's in spite of, the integration we see on television and everything else today. I mean, right from the top of our government. But I'd like to see that change, that people will, there's nothing that can do it except actual contact. That's the thing. And anything that fosters that. A favorite place in the city? Which restaurant? No. I think of a favorite place in the city is Brandon Park, just to get there and be quiet. It's a beautiful park. I guess really any place where a lot of people are kind of getting together and you can sort of sit with them. I love to go to the Community Arts Center. Bowman Field, historic Bowman Field. They don't put the motto out anymore of Gateway to the Majors. That's what it used to be. And my dad was a pro football or baseball player and played for Boston. And I was a baseball brat. I went to Boston in a basket when he was playing with Boston. I was just a couple months old. And my dad grand slammed for the first time at bat in the majors, grand slam against the Brooklyn Dodgers at Ebbets Field. So I think those are my favorite places. I love going up to Loyalsock. That's always going to be a favorite place. That's where we swam all the time. We had 3 good holes up there, and those I think would be. Believe it or not, one of my favorite places when I was in Annunciation was the barber shop down here. Okay, it's now over in the old Fred Beasley garage. It's mostly all African American clientele, and I learned a lot from the barbers there. But I'd go in and just talk with them, and we always had a basketball game on and things like that. Got my hair cut there a couple times. One time the one guy was. I went in and he said, "Right, you get your hair cut there, kind of kidding me." And I said, "Well, sure." So one barber says, "Yeah," he says, "Me and white hair, we're friendly." And just things like that, hanging out and talking with people, doing that sort of thing. Let's see. When I was a pastor, this is my 7th day of retirement. Okay, my 7th day, and I'm just around. I'm supposed to be doing something, but that I would like to be involved in now. Well, definitely the Bald Eagle, Steve Shope, and what they're doing, the task force. That's really good. I'm thinking about. I want to be careful before I make commitments. But any place, you can volunteer to do things. Maybe it might be like Linda Tokay and American Rescue, or maybe doing things there because they do a fantastic job. Different agencies, maybe Fire Tree, because we really struggled. That was one of the big things in our Annunciation was the Bethune-Douglas Center, and then of course they lost the funding, and then now they have those grants and everything, and that's great. So maybe getting involved with that, and anything else. I would think that just comes up, showing up for any kind of demonstrations. Like we had the walk over the bridge not long ago, and I think it was very beautiful to go to the memorial service for the Orlando victims. And then all of a sudden our gay and lesbian and GLBT community, people realized there's a gay community in this area. And so I think anything that's going to bring people together and stretch them a little bit. I think that's without any kind of judgment. I know I walked into that memorial service, and I was so happy to see 125 people. I don't know what it was at the time, and the speakers were so great. Gwen Bernstein did. But when I walked in, I heard someone say, "Oh, religious people are here." What was that saying? What was that saying? And so I guess I get involved in anything that's gonna do that. So I was thinking about closing and opening the rivers, and then I thought about this closing. There was a beautiful man. His name is immortalized right across the street there. By the way, Liberty Arena, that's just a great asset now. It blows people's minds. His name was Bill Picklener, and the Picklener family was always around growing up, and their one son and I went to camp together and all that. But as Bill was dying, he was in his final part of his journey. I went to see him at the hospital, and we talked. And on the way out, he said, "Oh, Father John," he said. And I turned around, and he just looked at me and said, "I love Williamsport." I still get choked up a little bit. I said, "I love Williamsport." What else could you say? When you're talking about Williamsport, Bill Town, that's the thing there. And I look back, and people like that, and just had to celebrate the funeral of Jean Heller, who was in Williamsport Area School District, and she was such an influence in my life. But I think that's the way I'd include. I love Williamsport.
That was
All
perfect.
right. I hope so.
Thank you.
Ending with love.
I know, that was great.
Yes.